Right. Hello. Thanks for joining me. Um, this class that you joined is about the side body. All right, and you might think, what does that entail? So, quick little overview of what we're doing in this class and why it's important. All right, so first of all, the side body, by definition, is basically anywhere on the body that isn't the front or the back. So, sides of the torso, and we're going to talk a lot about that, about the rib cage, sides of the waist. So, also the sides of the hips, sides of the legs, sides of the legs, going out through the shoulders and the arm, the abdominals, the obliques, and also even a little bit the side of the head, the side of the neck, a little bit into that, but it's mostly going to be those other areas I mentioned: torso, hips, thighs, arms. So the side body, why it's important, it is an area of the body that can be neglected, so to speak, or overlooked because most of the movements we do are forward facing. All right, when we're sitting at a desk or sitting watching TV, we're walking, hiking, etc. Most motions, most movements of the body require us facing forward, and we don't think about bending sideways, stretching, moving the body sideways. Side bodies really kind of balance the whole body, and it lengthens those areas we talked about: the abs, the hips, the thighs. And it can also, bending, going into those side bends, focusing on the side body, can help improve flexibility in the spine, which is really important. We don't want to get the spine stiff. We don't want to have the spine atrophy. So anything we can do to keep the back, the spine mobile is really beneficial. Side bends, a couple more things. Also stretch. You're going to hear this word quite a bit throughout the practice. The intercostal muscles. And what are those? Those are the muscles in between each individual part of the rib, each individual rib. Um, if they get tight, that can weaken our posture, can increase neck and shoulder tension, and it can also restrict our breathing because it impacts the diaphragm. All right, side body. One last thing, can also help stretch the digestive organs, which are kind of in the center of the body, and therefore help improve our metabolism. So, a little overview of the side body, what it does, why it is so important to keep it stretched. So, we're going to begin this side body practice laying on our backs. You need a couple of poses there before we move a little more. So come lay on your back, get comfy on your mat, and you're gonna gradually slide both legs to straight. You can have a little separation between the feet and the knees. Don't go super wide, but they don't have to be right up close against each other. All right, from here, you're gonna take both arms long by the ears. So you wanna really kind of reach long. We're going to try right from the beginning. So a lot of this will be stretching, a lot of stretches, movements, but a little more active stretching. And we're going to start right away. You're going to stretch out a little longer through the right arm and the left leg. So flex the left foot. So you're kind of pushing the left heel forward, and then you're stretching long through the right fingers. So the visual I'd like to give here in this opposite arm and leg stretch is that someone is above you, above the head, holding onto your right wrist, giving it a nice gentle tug, and someone is at the foot of your mat, holding onto your left ankle and giving that a little gentle stretch. So be gentle here, small movement. So lengthening both sides of the body, but also the front and back. So it's kind of a whole body stretch. And then release that, let it go kind of slack, loose. And then take the other side. So first reach long through the left arm. Try to get the arm straighter, extend through the fingers, and then flex the right foot, and you're going to push out a little more through that right heel. And again, just imagine one person behind you holding left wrist, one person in front of you holding right ankle, and just another breath, just trying to find a little more length, grow a little taller, and then let that go. Now, do walk the legs together so the inner knees touch. point the toes. Now, point the toes. We were flexing before, now point. And now reach out long through all 10 fingers. Point all 10 toes. Take a deep breath in through the nose. And then open the mouth and exhale. And let's take 2 more of these. So full body, both right and left side, front and back. We inhale, reach long, stretch, get a little longer and taller. Exhale, release the breath. Exhale through the lips. One more, inhale, big inhale, fill up, reach long, stretch long. Exhale, let the breath go. All right, from here, you're going to keep the left leg long, and you're going to hug the right knee to the chest. You're going to hold on just below the knee, very top part of the shin. And now from here, we're going to take a twist over to our left. All right, ground the left shoulder blade. With that right arm, you're going to sweep it along by the ear. So the upper back, right shoulder blade, upper back is going to be off the mat, right hip off. And then you're going to start to turn the left side of the torso to the right. And we're going to spend about 3 breaths here in this twist, focusing the breath on that right side, breathing into the sides of the waist, backs of the ribs, throughout that right shoulder, creating space, sending breath, expanding that right side body. Stay here for 1 more breath. And then carefully roll onto the back. Take the other side, slide the right leg just straight. First, just pause, give that left knee a little hug in. Hug it in close. And then keep it hugged in and slowly begin to roll over, twist to your right. When you've got the twist, ground the right shoulder blade so that stays grounded. The left arm, we take long by the ear. So again, left shoulder blade, back, upper back is off the mat while the right side is grounded. When you have that, start to turn a little. Take your time. It's early in the practice, early in class. So maybe the spine isn't fully warm. So maybe you don't want to take this twist too deep. We'll have other twists as we go along. Stay here. Just 1 more breath. And then come on to the back. Hug both knees in. Wrap the arms around the shins. Just for a breath or 2, just rock a little right and left. Warm up that low back. And now from here, you're going to bring yourself all the way up and find your way to an easy seat. You could get a folded blanket or a cushion under your seat if you like for some support. You can take a cross-leg position here, either shin in front. Take a moment and sit up tall. Feel support in your seat. And now from here, you're going to take the arms out from the shoulders. And we're going to bend over to the right. Drop the right hand to the mat, bend the elbow, and then take the left arm over the ear and find a side bend. So bend that right elbow, or maybe you can go deep enough, you bring the whole forearm to the mat, but you want to keep that left sit bone grounded, all right? So don't come so far into that side bend that the left butt cheek starts to hike up, right? Come out of it a little bit. Begin to slowly turn the right side of the ribs to the left, maybe looking under that left arm. That top arm can be bent. All right, it's easy for me to straighten my arms, but you don't have to do that. You can have it really bent. You could also, even if your shoulders are tight, you could also keep that left hand at the hip and still find that side bend. It's just a little easier to do it, to reach out a little longer. Lengthening, 1 more breath on that left side. And then inhale, rise. Again, arms to a T right out from the shoulders. Take that bend over to the left. Drop the left palm to the mat outside the left hip. Bend the elbow. Right arm over the ear. Begin to slowly turn left side of the chest to the right. Keep again mindful that that right sit bone stays grounded. So if it hikes up, either come out of that bend a little bit, or maybe consider the next time you do this pose, getting a blanket, a folded blanket, or a cushion under you for some support. 1 more breath. All right, come up. And now we're going to twist over to our right. So you're going to bring the left hand to rest on the right near thigh. The right fingertips come to the mat behind you, kind of right in line with the low back. And you begin to turn a little. If you feel any tightness or resistance in the low back, that's your cue to come out of that twist, pull out of it a little bit, retract. Otherwise, if you can, take a couple more breaths, lengthening up through the spine as you inhale, and then grounding a little more firmly through your sit bones on the exhale. Take another breath in and out. And then inhale, turn forward. And now you're going to turn, twist to your left. Right hand finds the left near thigh. Again, you're kind of tending onto those left fingertips behind you, pushing into them, using that left hand as a little lever to remind you to sit up taller. So you don't want to be collapsing into the low back here. Thinking nice tall spine. Take one more breath here in this easy seated twist. Again, that spinal mobility, flexibility, really important, and the twist, very helpful for that regard. Turn forward, uncross the legs. If you were sitting on a blanket, move it to the side. We'll have use for it later. And from here, you're going to find your way to all fours, hands and knees to tabletop position. So let's take a moment, set this up. Hand shoulder distance, kind of fan the fingers out, little bend in the elbows. The knees are about hips distance and the hips are stacked over the knees. The feet can be flat or you can tuck the toes. And let's cycle through a few rounds of cat-cow movement. So round in, tuck the chin. And then exhale, open the heart, broaden across the collarbones. And keep going this way. You can stay pretty slow and deliberate. You can hold each part of this for a breath. Or you can start to move a little faster to articulate and warm up and introduce all that mobility into the spine. Let's get a couple more rounds here, cat-cow, before we get back into the side body and moving that now into the lower body a little bit. Let's get one more time, round in, exhale, open. All right, now come to a neutral position, gazing down between the hands. I'd suggest flattening the feet here if you didn't already. You're going to reach the right leg long back of the mat. Tuck the toes. And now just a little, we're going to start to lift that right leg up and down. Don't lift it high. All right, so maybe just a couple inches, few inches. You want to flex the foot. Maybe tap just the big toe to the mat as it lowers. Try to engage the core a little bit to help you be steady, belly to spine, and try not to let that left side move at all. So here, a few more rounds. We're getting length in that right outer leg and right outer hip. One more. All right, now keep the leg lifted. Little change now. You're going to tap the right toes to the very edge of the mat on the right side, maybe even off the mat. Come back to center, and now without letting the left hip move, cross that right foot over the left toward the left edge of your mat. Come back to center, tap right, center, cross and tap left. So go back and forth a few more times, focusing on lengthening through that right leg, getting length on the right side, right outer hip, right leg. Keep going. One more time. Tap right, center, cross and tap left. Come back to center and bring the right knee to the mat back to tabletop all fours. Side two. First extend the left leg long, tuck the toes, and then just a little start to lift that leg up and down. So small movement. All right, keep the foot flexed. Again, maybe you just tap the left big toe to the mat as it lowers down. Try to use that strong core to keep you steady, to not let the right side move here. Lengthening again, left outer hip, left outer leg, that IT band area. One more breath. All right, now lift center, tap to the left, maybe off the edge of the mat. Center, without swaying the hips, cross it over the right foot, tap to the right outer edge. And then you go back and forth. Keep it slow. Again, keep these movements really small. You don't want that right side to move, that hip to sway. So make the lifts, the movements a little smaller. If you feel that right hip start to go side to side. Get one more time, tap left, center, cross, tap right, center. Come back to all fours. Maybe walk the knees back a little bit more. Start to sink the hips back and crawl the hands forward, bow the forehead down and find child's pose. So taking a couple more breaths, folding down to center, and then we're going to take this child's pose to the side, to each side, but take one more breath here. Try to reach those sit bones back a little more towards the heels. All right, stay low. You're going to take like a little half turn to your right. Keep the hips facing forward. Begin to walk the hands off the mat to the right side. Maybe tent onto fingers. Maybe see if you can crawl the left fingers out just a little bit further so you get a bigger stretch, opening on that left side body. Stay here one more breath and then turn back to center. Again, do the little turn first. So it's not a big twist. It's like a little half turn. You don't want to let the lower body go with you, just the upper body. And then start to walk the hands off the mat towards the left, upper left corner. Maybe inch the right fingers out a little bit more. Keep sinking the right hip down and breathing and expanding, stretching out the right side. One more breath. Come back to center. Walk the hands in till you're back in tabletop. From here, press down through the hands, tuck the toes, lift the knees to a high plank position, and then take the hips up and find downward facing dog. All right, so we're going to spend a few breaths here to warm up in our downward dog. So if the calves are tight, hamstrings are tight, maybe bend one knee and then the other, kind of pedaling the feet out. That could be riding a bicycle. Ideally, feet hips distance, but you can go a little wider if that feels better on your back. Keep a little bend or a big bend in the knees. Definitely a little softness in the elbows. And then once you feel pretty warm, take a couple breaths here. Just kind of be still. Gaze back at the tips of the toes. Drop the heart down towards the ground as you reach the hips up towards the ceiling. And here in downward dog, a pose that works the whole body, upper, lower, mid body, sides of the body. So just kind of observe here for a breath, trying to find a little more length in all those side body areas, the hips, the legs, the shoulders. From here, we're going to take the right leg to the sky and do a 3-leg down dog. You're going to put a bend in the knee to kind of open that hip, flex the foot. Now begin to turn again from the waist and gaze under your right arm. And now we're going to start to circle that right knee and hip to the right. Try to open up the hip. Again, introduce that mobility, that movement into the joint. And now circle the other way. Circle inward towards the left. One more breath. All right. Lift the knee a little higher. Stay in that twist. So you're looking under the right arm. And now you're going to straighten that right leg and you're going to point the toe. So here, kind of envision an invisible diagonal line, starting at the right pinky finger and going all the way out through the tips of the toes. Take one more breath here in this big side body stretch, and then slowly come forward to 3-leg dog, and you're going to carefully lower that right foot back down to the mat, back to downward facing dog. Let's try that on the second side. So first you take the left leg to the sky. Then you bend the knee, open the hip, flex the foot like you want to kick yourself in the butt with the heel. Turn, look under the left arm. And then again, just begin to find those big circles. That hip fluency, we call it, circling around to the left. And then circle the other way. Go inward toward the right so you get that whole hip joint, every part of it. Lift the knee, straighten the leg, point the toes. Keep gazing under the left arm. Again, trace that invisible diagonal line. One more breath. Turn forward to 3-leg dog. Lower the left foot to the mat. Back to downward facing dog pose. Let's take the right leg to 3-leg dog. As you exhale, this time you're going to take a big step forward. Drop onto the left knee. Walk the hands in and bring yourself up to a low lunge pose. So start here with the hands on the thighs to get this pose. Again, right knee right over the ankle, not anywhere forward, just right over the ankle. Keep it neutral, more of like a 45-degree angle. Spine is tall, lifting up from the low back. Now you're going to reach both arms to the sky. You're going to cross one wrist in front of the other. It doesn't matter which one, just remember, because you'll change sides on the other side. Press the palms together so the elbows are bent. Try to bring those arms a little bit closer back in line with the ears. From here, as you keep pressing the palms together, we're going to bend over to the right. So we get that nice side bend. We're also getting a little shoulder stretch. So think also sides of the waist here as you bend over outer hip. but also getting a little more into those arms and shoulders. One more breath. Lift up, uncross the wrists, lower the hands to the mat. You're going to tuck the left toes, float the left knee up, step the right foot to high plank, take both hips up to the sky, back to downward facing dog. Take the left leg now to the sky, and then exhale, step it all the way through. Lower onto the right knee, walk the hands in. Start first again, hands on thighs. As you find that low lunge, get steady, ground more through the left foot, but make sure the knee isn't going past, say, the toes here. You want a nice tall spine, a little more 45-degree angle in this low lunge, not a real deep low lunge in this pose. All right, take the arms back to the sky. Now, remember which wrist you crossed in front. You're going to take the opposite one. Press the palms together, bend the elbows, and then bend over to your left. Keep pressing the palms together. Bend a little deeper if you can to your left. Stay here, one more breath. And then you're going to rise, tall spine, uncross the hands, hands to the mat, right toes tucked. Now right knee lifts. Step the left foot to meet the right. Take the hips up, back to downward facing dog pose. Take a deep breath in through the nose. And then also exhale deeply through the nose. So finding that breath. So in yoga practice, unlike running or hiking or biking, we strive to always breathe in and out through the nose rather than through the mouth. Makes for a more efficient breath. We expend less energy, get less tired. All right, from here, take the right leg back to three-leg dog. As you exhale, step it back through. Keep the hands on the mat this time. You're going to drop the left knee to the mat. If you have yoga blocks within reach, it might be helpful to have one or two nearby. You're going to start to straighten the right leg. And as you do, pull the hips back. And you're going to kind of wiggle, slide that right foot forward. Hop onto the heel. Flex the toes. Curl the toes back towards the face. And this is half splits pose. So it's a big hamstring stretch. So if you feel tightness in the hamstrings, bend the knee more. All right, or have your hands on yoga blocks on either side of the leg for support. You can keep like looking forward, say past the toes, or you can start to fold over that right shin. That kind of deepens the hamstring stretch a bit. What we're focusing on here, we'll hear for a few more breaths. Yes, nice hamstring stretch, which is always good, always beneficial. Never say no to a hamstring stretch. But what we're focusing on here is lengthening through that right outer hip and the outer thigh. Think about IT band, which attaches at the outer hip, runs down the outer thigh past the outer knee. That's what we want to turn our focus on. Take one more breath, and then slowly lift the chest, rebend the right knee, bring the foot to the mat, shift forward, hands down, step back to plank, let the hips rise back up to downward facing dog. Let's try that on the left side. Take the left leg to three-leg dog. Exhale, big step through, but you're going to keep the hands down. Drop onto the right knee, walk the hands in a little. Begin to pull the hips back, and at the same time, you straighten that left leg. Maybe slide, wiggle the heel forward a little. Press into the heel. Curl the toes back towards the face. So we flex the foot to protect the knee. All right, so again, knee feels tight, hammy feels tight. You're going to bend that knee a lot more. Even if the hamstrings are super open, you never want to hyperextend. You never want to lock that knee out. Really bad for the joints. So again here, it feels better. You can kind of lift the chest, gaze forward, or you can fold over the leg. Important here too, keep both hip points facing forward. So you don't want to be turning to the left or to the right. Keep the hips facing forward. Breathing 2 more breaths, lengthening through that left side of the hip, thigh, outer knee, IT band. 1 more breath. All right, lift up, bend that left knee. Bring the foot to the mat. Now from here, you're going to step that left foot back to all fours. You're going to walk the hands in, rise onto the shins, and then begin to turn on the shins to face the center of your mat. So kind of be right in the middle of your mat, facing the center of your room, center of your mat. Let's start on the left side because we always start on the right. So let's mix it up. Step the left foot to the mat. Now you're going to bend the knee to start with. So the left knee is facing again over the ankle and it's kind of facing the back of your mat while the right knee again is facing the center. Bring the left forearm to the left thigh and then take the right arm over the ear as you bend over to your left. So this is gate pose. It's a variation of gate. We'll do the full pose in a moment here with this leg straight. But here, just getting a little deeper into the side bend. And you could start, if you want, to sink a little deeper into the left knee now. And what that does is kind of open up, stretch the inner thigh and get into the hip flexor and the deep psoas muscle. And breathing again, right side body. So gate pose, you'll see in a moment we get into the full pose. Really basic, classic, so let's use that word, side body opening. All right, inhale, rise up tall, arms to a T. And now that left leg, you're going to wiggle it to straight. And I want you to ground the foot, especially through the outer edge of the foot. So kind of turn the big toes slightly in. You want to really power up through that whole left leg. Arms to a T, tall spine, and you're going to bend back to your left. Right arm over the ear. And you could keep the left hand on the hip. You could slide the palm down the outer leg, maybe start to inch the fingers down closer to that left ankle, but you really, again, really ground through that left foot. So important to have that grounding, that base here. We have one more breath. All right, now you're going to come up, arms to a T. And now we're going to go the other way. So reach long through the right arm. You can have a block there. Otherwise, come onto the fingers or the palm outside the right shin. Take the left arm up and over the ear. And this is modified side plank. So this here, for me, is a real classic example, perhaps the biggest one of a side body stretch opening, because the entire left side is opening and stretching and lengthening, starting to stretch. Again, kind of that invisible line in your mind, outer edge of the left foot, all the way out through the left leg, outer hip, sides of the waist, rib cage, intercostal muscles, out through the shoulder, the arm, the very tip of the fingers. Big, long line, big, deep side body stretch. Fill up with breath, lengthen. One more breath. All right, inhale, we're going to rise, and we're going to come onto both shins. Maybe rearrange, move around if you need space. And let's take side two. Step the right foot to the mat. First, we're going to keep the knee bent. So we're going to spin the right knee and toes to face the top of the mat while the left knee keeps facing the middle. Bring the right forearm to the right thigh. Take the left arm over the ear. Coming into this variation of gait, first with the knee bent. Focusing on opening up left side, left outer hip, sides of the ribs, the waist, out through the shoulder. One more breath here. All right, now come back up, arms to a T. Now, begin to slide, wiggle that right foot. So the leg is straight, and again, kind of turn the toes, angle them a little bit in, really grounding through the whole sole of the right foot, and in particular, the pinky edge, the outer edge. Arms to a T. Bend over to your right. Left arm over the ear. Right hand, either, again, the variations, hand to hip. Slide the palm down, outer thigh, maybe past the knee. Maybe start to, little bit, crawl the fingers towards the ankle. Ground through the foot. Activate the leg. Whole side body opens. One more breath here in gate pose. And then you rise, arms to a T, and now you reach long through the left arm. Drop the left hand to the mat, and slowly reach the right arm over the ear to diagonal. And as you do, maybe turn left side of the ribs a little bit to the right. So taking about 3 more breaths here. In modified side plank. Big, perhaps the biggest side body stretch, opening pose we will do in this whole practice. Certainly one of the biggest. Take one more breath here, creating all that length on the right side. And then inhale, bring yourself up. Step onto both shins, and then from here, kind of turn back, walk back to the center of the mat on the shins, hands down back to tabletop, step back to plank, and then take the hips back up to downward facing dog. Let's take 3 or 4 breaths here. So
We've done a couple of downward dogs. And in between that, we did several side body opening poses. So just kind of observe. Maybe you're more aware, at least, of the sides of the body here. Maybe you're already feeling a little expansion, a little more length, a little more stretch there. One more breath. All right, from here, bend the knees a little, look between the hands, and then walk to the top of the mat. Bring the palms to the fronts of the shins, and as you do, open the heart. You want a nice flat back, stick the butt out, gaze forward, and then exhale. Let's just come for a couple breaths into a standing forward fold. So the knees can be bent. You can be on the fingertips. You can have a yoga block or two under the hands. Maybe sway the hips a little side to side. Let the spine hang down, crown of the head reaches down towards the earth. Take one more breath in the standing forward fold. And then slowly bring the hands to the hips. Ground through the feet. Take your time. Begin to rise all the way up to stand. Finding mountain pose at the top of the mat. Feet, let's see, for this first round, we're going to do 3 rounds of standing side bends. And I'm going to turn to face the side of the mat. So if you need a visual, you have a bigger visual, better visual. But you can stay facing the front of your mat. This first one, let's walk the feet in narrow. So like the mounds of the big toes touch, or get as close as you can. Take the arms overhead. Hold on to the left wrist with the right fingers before we bend. Give that left wrist a little tug. All right, so kind of reach it up. So that again, just that tugging is going to open up that left side. And then bend over to your right. Maybe look down and look at your right pinky toe in that direction. Keep bending to the right and bumping the left hip out to the left. As you inhale, lift tall, change the grip, bend to your left, bump the right hip out, maybe look down in the direction of that left pinky toe. One more breath. All right, rise, release the wrists, lower the arms down. Now, step the feet hips distance a little bit wider, maybe a little wider. So go hips distance first, and then go just a little bit wider, not too wide, because we're going to go wider still next time. This time, let's bring right hand to right hip. Take the left arm over the ear and bend again to your right. So each time we bend, we're going to do these 3 rounds of side bends. So each time, the goal is the hope is to get a little deeper into the side bend and find a little more length and stretch. Again, intercostal muscles. This is a good one. You could even like bring the fingers and kind of identify, touch each rib and just make sure you're breathing and expanding into each of those. Rise up, bring the left hand to the left hip, and now bend to the right arm over the ear. Use the left hand to kind of gently push that right hip away. But you don't want to let the hips move. Keep the hips facing forward. It's the outer hip. So fronts of the hips, hip flexors facing forward, outer hip is what we're looking for into movement. And again, expanding and lengthening through that whole right side. All right, rise up. Last of the side bends for now. Step the feet kind of really wide. Really wide. All right? All right, now reach the arms overhead. You're going to interlace the fingers. Stretch the palms up to the sky. Try to bring the arms back by the ears. And now, one more time, bend back to the right. Ground through both feet. Maybe start to turn right side of the ribs a little bit to the left. Inhale, rise. And then bend over to the left. Maybe turn slightly to the right. One more breath. Rise, release the interlace of the fingers, lower the hands down. Step the feet. If you turn to face the side of your mat like I did, now you're going to walk back to the top of your mat. From here, all we're going to do is reach the arms overhead and join the palms. And we're just going to pause here 2 or 3 breaths. So I want you to start reaching the fingers up towards the ceiling. And I want you, as you do here, you can let a little back bend, maybe let the head fall back a little. But the focus here is to lengthen through the sides of the waist and the ribs all the way through the shoulders, lifting up tall through the low back, not collapsing into the low back, finding a nice tall posture. So side body stretches, also really important to contribute to our posture, not slouching into the back, finding length. One more breath. All right, from here, start to fold forward. And back to that forward fold. Gaze forward. Open the chest. Step back to plank. Take the hips up to downward facing dog. You're going to take the right leg to three-leg dog. Exhale, step it forward. And you're going to rise up to a high lunge pose. So the back toes are going to be tucked. Back heel lift. Front knee is bent. Right over the ankle. Back leg super strong. Start with the arms by the ears. Look gaze out in front of you. Reach all 10 fingers skyward to lengthen through both sides of the body. Now you're going to start to bend the elbows and come into what we call cactus arms. So keep the spine tall. Don't take this into a back bend this time. Sometimes I do that. But for here, I just want you to expand across the chest. One more breath. Slowly lean forward. Bring the hands down. Step to plank. Take the hips skyward. Back to downward dog. From here, take the left leg to the sky to three-leg dog. As you exhale, big step through. Press into the ball of the right foot. Keep the heel lifted. Lift up. Come into that high lunge pose. I press a little more into the ball of that right foot to steady you, support you. Start again, arms by ears. Really lengthen up. Keep the gaze out in front of you. Keep the spine tall. And now just begin to bend the elbows. Spread the fingers. Broaden across the chest and upper back. One more breath. All right, from here, you're going to lean all the way forward. Bring the hands to the mat. Step back to high plank. Take the hips back up to downward facing dog. All right, let's take the right leg back to the sky. Exhale, step it through. Ground the foot, ground the back foot, and bring yourself up to warrior two pose. All right, so take a moment before we go deeper. Make sure, again, look down at the right knee, right over the ankle. Back leg, so we did this in gate pose. You're kind of turning the toes slightly in. Grounding through the whole foot, but especially the outer edge to activate that left leg. Arms to a T. They're at about the height of the shoulders. It's fine to have a little bend in the elbows, but lift up through the low back. Reaching up tall through the crown of the head. Gazes out over the right fingers. All right, from here, you're going to turn the right palm to the sky, and you're going to sweep that arm up and back as you come into a side bend that we call reverse warrior. So you want maybe bend a little deeper into the right knee now, and breathe a little deeper, and create a little more space, starting right outer hip, sides of the waist, intercostals, shoulder, out through the whole arm. All right, stay in this side bend. All you're going to do is start to straighten the right knee without locking it. Keep a little softness. So both legs are straight or mostly straight, and this is reverse triangle pose. So now increase that side stretch. Increase the awareness. Have that whole right side open and bend and lengthen and expand. One more breath. All right, rebend the knee and come back to warrior two. From here, you're going to reach out a little longer through the right arm. You're going to drop the right forearm to the right thigh. You're going to spin the left arm over the ear. And now you're going to start to turn the right side of the ribs and look to the left. So kind of looking up either towards the left hand, under the left arm, not down at the ground. So it's not a forward fold. It's a big side body stretch. This is called extended side angle pose. Kind of glue the fingers together and that left sit bone. Kind of tuck it under. You could even bring the hand to the hip, to the sit bone, and kind of gently turn it under. Ground through the feet, working the legs here too. One more breath. You're going to come all the way back up to warrior two, arms back to a T. And then from here, circle the hands down to the ground. Step to plank. Lift the hips up to downward facing dog. Let's try that on side two. Take the left leg skyward, three-leg dog. As you exhale, take a big step through. Ground both feet. Keep the left knee bent, right leg straight. Rise up, warrior two. Spending a couple breaths here before we go deeper. Checking that alignment. Left knee, take a glance down. Should be right over the ankle. That back leg, right leg straight.
Really grounding through that whole foot. Activate that right quad and hamstring and glute here. Now take the left palm to the sky, sweep it up and over the ear and find that side bend. Reverse warrior pose. So the right hand, you can either keep it at the hip or slide it down the outer leg, maybe past the knee. Breathing, filling up the left side body with breath. All right, keep the upper body as it is. Begin to straighten the left knee, but never entirely locking the knee out, hyperextending it. Little softness. And again, reverse triangle here. Whole left side, stretching, opening. One more breath. Lift back up into warrior two, rebend the knee. Now you're going to reach long through the left arm. Pop the forearm to the thigh. Sweep the right arm over the ear at an angle and begin to slowly turn left side of the ribs to the right. Maybe again, either looking up towards the sky, maybe towards the right fingers, or just under the arm, but not forward folding. So don't be looking down at the mat. Again, last reminder, left hip, tuck it under a little bit. One more breath, rise up, back to warrior two. And now from here, you're going to circle the hands down to your mat, step back to high plank, lift the hips to the sky, coming back to downward facing dog. Again, pausing here, a couple breaths, observing after all those big side body stretches opening, a little more aware perhaps, right and left side of the body. Let's take the right leg to three-leg dog. Exhale, step it through to a runner's lunge. So you keep the hands down. You can use blocks either side of the foot. Left toes tuck, left heel lift, the left leg. So strong, so engaged. Keep the left hand on the mat. You're going to spin open to the right. Take the right arm to the sky into an easy twist. And watch where that right hip is. Okay, it likes in this pose, really easy. Does it of its own accord without thinking about it. Likes to pop out to the right. Keep the right hip in the center line. Don't let it travel away. Maybe gaze, look up at the right hand for one more breath. And then turn forward, both hands down. Step to plank. Let the hips rise. Back to downward dog. Left side. Take the left leg up. Exhale, step it through to runner's lunge. Hands down. Another pose, you can have yoga blocks under the hands if the mat's a little far. Take a moment here before we twist. Really power up through that straight right leg. Find engagement. And then right hand stays down. Twist open to the left. Left arm to the sky. Maybe look if it's okay on your neck. Look up at the left hand. Watch where that left hip is going here. One more breath. Unwind. Hands down. Step to plank. Take the hips up, downward dog. All right, we're not really doing a lot of core work today because a little bit, actually, maybe we'll work something in a few minutes for the obliques, the sides of the abs. We'll do that, but we've kind of been doing that a lot. But this next pose, which we're going to go into a side plank, is also a really good core strengthener. All right, you're going to roll forward to high plank. First, you're going to step the feet close together. You're going to step the left hand to the center of your mat. You're going to roll onto the outer edge of the left foot. So you can either stack the feet if you have good balance, good control, or if you feel real wobbly, you can step the right foot in front of you, stagger the feet. So you would be on the inner edge of the right foot and outer edge of the left. Take the right arm to the sky. If you still feel wobbly, try bending the right knee and bringing the foot to the mat. And that should give you a little more stability here. Try to lift that left hip up a little more. Press down through the left palm, reach the right arm to the sky. 2 more breaths here. If you can, the last 2 breaths. See if you can take the right arm over the ear, kind of make a little bow shape with the body and lift that left hip up a little more. So you got a little more reach stretch through that right side. Slowly turn back to high plank and take the hips up to downward facing dog.
So we'll take a couple breaths here before we try it on the second side. So remember, you can stack the feet, stagger them, or you can bend the top knee and bring the foot to the mat if you need more support in this pose, because it is a little bit of a balance challenge. A lot of core strength, upper body, lower body strength. All right, roll to plank. Step the feet together. Bring the right hand center of mat, and you're going to roll outer edge of right foot and set up for your side plank. So either keep the feet stacked, or again, you can stagger them, or you can step the left foot to the mat, bend the knee. Lift the hips up wherever you're at. Couple more breaths. And again, if you want, take the left arm over the ear. Start to arch here. Get a little more into that side. One more breath. Turn forward to plank. Hold here. 3 breaths. Pull the belly up. Lift up again. Legs, shoulders, chest, back. Take one more full breath here in high plank. And then you're going to drop into the knees and slide all the way onto the belly. Lower all the way onto the mat. Bring the forehead to the mat. Sweep the arms back by the outer hip. So we're going to take actually we're going to do this in 3 parts. This is a locust pose, which is a back bend on the belly. And this is a good one, locust. It's a back bend for sure, heart opener, etc. But a good one to really focus on lengthening through the side body. So first part of this, we're going to lift just the upper body, not the lower body. So the legs and the hips and the belly are going to stay grounded for this first time. Press down as the tops of the feet and the knees. Take a big breath in, and you're going to lift just the head and shoulders. And you can also float the arms up. They're back by the hips. The palms are spinning in to face the outer thighs. So if you want to try to lift a little higher, try pressing a little more into the tops of the feet and use that as kind of a little lever and assist to help you lift. One more breath. All right, lower all the way down. Forehead, chest on the mat. All right, round 2, part 2. We're going to do the opposite. So the forehead, the chest, the belly are going to stay grounded, and we're going to lift just the legs. So first, before we go, try to reach the legs long. So remember that opening stretch. Pretend someone's behind you, holding your ankles, and they're taking turns, they're alternating, they're stretching each leg back to get a little more length. You want to get as much length in that lower body, especially the pelvic floor, before you lift up. Take an inhale, and then lift the legs up, point the toes. Stretch back. So at least the tops of the feet lift. Maybe the lower shins, maybe even the knees lift. One more breath. Lower the legs down. Turn one cheek to the mat. And take a couple of breaths there. So now we're going to put part 1 and part 2 together. We'll do it in stages. And we'll lift everything up. All right, turn the forehead back to the mat. Again, kind of walk the knees in. Press the tops of the feet in. Take a big breath in. First, we lift just the head and shoulders and float the palms up. Now add the legs, float the feet up. Lift, lengthen. Try to stretch back a little more. Lengthen, envision lengthening again. Outer hips, outer legs. Lift the chest. Lengthen through the rib cage. One more breath. All right, lower down. Turn the other cheek to the mat. You're going to bend the knees, lift the feet up, flex the feet, and then begin to lift the feet. Let the feet drift side to side into like a little washing machine motion. This is nice to release the low back after those back bends. Stay here. One more breath. And then lower the legs down. Bring the forehead to the mat. Step the hands in by the ribs. Bend the elbows. Tuck the toes. See if you can lift right up into plank. Otherwise, you can come through tabletop. Hold this plank again. 3 breaths. Belly to spine. Everything strong. Everything working together. And then take the hips back up. Walk the feet in. Back to downward facing dog. Again, let's spend 2 or 3 breaths here. Just observing from the first time we did this quite a while ago. Does anything feel different? Is there more space? Is it perhaps easier to breathe here? Because we have done so much breathing in to those ribs, into those intercostal muscles. Maybe the breath feels a little deeper. It comes a little easier. From here, bend the knees, look forward, and then walk to the top of the mat. Pop the hands to the hips, and you're going to come all the way up to stand. All right, so from here, take a step out to the side. So step out, face the side of your mat. Take the feet pretty wide. So here, just kind of throwing this in a little bit for the side of the abs. Because really didn't do a lot of core work, the planks and the side plank definitely, but just a little something here. Bring the arms to a T, and you're going to start to bend side to side. All right, so you don't really need the arms to a T. You're just going to slide the palms down the outer legs, going down towards the knees. Just a little side to side motion here. That kind of works that area we call love handles. We've all had them at one point or other. Maybe not. Maybe you're lucky and you haven't. Most of us do. This got a little extra love there on the side. So this is a good one. Just these little side bends. It strengthens the obliques, the sides of the abs. And it also maybe helps firm up a little bit down there. Just get a couple more to each side. One more. All right, now lift up. Now bring the arms to a T. Walk the feet a little wider. Turn the toes slightly in. Bring the hands to the hips. Open the heart to the sky. And then exhale, begin to come into a forward fold. And I want you to pause halfway. Might be nice to have your block within reach if you need it. You're going to bring both hands to the mat right under the chest. You're going to turn to the right. Bring the left hand and see if you can attach it to the front of the right ankle or maybe a little higher up by the shin. Bring the right hand behind the leg and press it into the calf. Look down at the right leg, right foot, and then fold, kind of aiming the forehead towards that right shin. Keep pressing the right hand into the calf and the left hand into the front of the shin or ankle, kind of compressing them towards each other. One more breath. All right, come to center. So first, you do a little turn to the left, a little kind of half turn, not a full twist, a little turn. Bring the right hand, attach it to some part of that lower left leg, ankle, maybe a little higher up, mid shin or upper shin even. And then bring the left hand, press it into the left calf, look at the left big toe, and then fold over the leg again, kind of aiming the forehead, say towards the shin or the kneecap. Take 2 more breaths. One more. All right, come to center. Release both hands to the mat. Start to walk the feet in one at a time or both together until they're parallel. And then bend the knees and slowly come all the way up to stand. From here, let's walk back, turn back to the top of the mat. Reach the arms overhead. All right, we did this earlier. Join the palms. Reach all 10 fingers skyward. Ground through the feet. Lengthen up. Up, up, up. Reach tall. One more breath. All right, slowly fold back down to the mat. Hands down. Step to plank. Take the hips up, downward dog. All right, take the right leg to the sky, to 3-leg dog. As you exhale, step it forward. Have a block nearby if you need. Drop onto the left knee. Bring both hands inside the right foot. So we're going to do a little variation of a lizard pose in this class. So lizard, big hip opener, and you'll still get the hip opening. But we're going to take this just a little bit more, change it up just a bit so it's a little more side body. But you can still use the block. So again, take a little half turn to the left. It's not a real twist, and you want to keep the hips facing forward. You're going to start to walk the hands off the mat to the left. Hands onto the fingers. See if you can scoot that left leg back a little. Look between the hands, open the chest, and then begin to bow down. Bow the forehead down, kind of like you're directing it in between the hands. So a little more into a side body stretch than a pure hip opener. Though, of course, we're still getting that hip opening going. Left hip flexor, right outer hip. 2 more breaths here in this sort of twisted side stretch lizard pose. 1 more breath. Walk the hands back in. From here, tuck the left toes, float the left knee up, step the right foot to meet the left and plank. Let the hips rise back up to downward dog. Left side now. Take the left leg up, 3-leg dog. Exhale, step it through. Both hands inside the left foot. Drop the right knee down, scoot the leg back. Stay here a moment. You get set up, and again, you can have your block within reach. Turn just slightly to the right. Don't let the hips travel along with you. Begin to walk the hands off the mat, upper right corner, tent onto the fingers. First, gaze between the hands. You get all that length opening in the chest, and then begin to fold. Bow the forehead, chest down. Kind of, again, envision aiming the forehead between the hands. Maybe scoot that right knee back a little. If you want a little bigger stretch in that right hip flexor. 2 more breaths here. Take another inhale. And exhale. And then turn forward, hands down. Right toes tuck, right knee rises, step to plank. Last one of the practice, downward dog. We're here 2 or 3 breaths. Again, just observing, paying attention to how this pose feels. Right and left side. Right outer leg, outer hip, rib cage, out through the shoulders. Maybe even a little. We haven't done much for the sides of the neck. We're going to do a little neck stretch. Just kind of observe sides of the head, sides of the neck. 1 more breath. All right, you're going to roll forward, drop to the knees, and come find a seat. So the next few poses are going to be from a seat. So again, you need a little more support under you. Folded blanket or cushion. Always good props to have no matter what class you're doing. The folded blanket and the block, always really good to have nearby. So we're going to come back to a cross leg position like we did earlier. Right, again, though, this one, a little side bend, but really focusing on stretching out the sides of the neck. All right, you're going to take both hands behind the back. You're going to interlace the fingers. And then you're going to bring those hands and kind of, if you can, bring them if your shoulders are open enough, kind of nestle those hands against the outer right hip. Your shoulders, no, that's not happening. You could just kind of press those fists against the low back. All right, but if you can, squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift up tall through the spine, and then slowly take your time, begin to dip the left ear down towards the left shoulder. Now getting a nice stretch on that right side of the neck, and should hopefully feel nice. Keep squeezing the shoulder blades, elbows together. That'll intensify a little bit that side stretch on the side of the neck. 1 more breath. All right, rise up. And just keep the hands interlaced, but you're going to shift them over to the left side. Outer hip if you can, otherwise low back. Sit up tall first, squeeze the shoulder blades, elbows together, and then be slow here. Always wanting to be really careful with the neck. Slowly start to drop right ear down towards the right shoulder, stretching out left side of the neck. So anytime we involve the neck in the practice, it's always with so much care because the neck is very fragile part of the spine, the body. Really easy to tweak, pinch a nerve, get out of whack, however you want to call it. So you always want to take a lot of precautions with the neck. 1 more breath. Rise up. Release the interlace of the hands. All right, so from here, you're going to bend the right knee in. If the knee isn't grounding, you get a block under it. And then you're going to open the left leg off to the side to where you can go. It doesn't have to be right out from the hip. That's really hard to do, but just open it a little wider. You're going to sit up tall. You're going to turn to your right, bring the left hand to the right knee or outer thigh, and then take the right arm behind you for what we call a half bound position. All right, so try to get in as much as you can. So you really want to use that right arm behind you to help you sit up tall. So it's using as like a little support, almost like you were pushing that the back against the wall. The left leg, keep it active.
by flexing the foot. You don't want to just let it be loose and floppy here. Flex the foot, let the toes point up. So you really feel that whole left leg still working. Sit up tall, maybe turn again, watch the spine here. Any resistance, any tightness, you come out of that twist. One more breath. All right, now come forward. And then you're going to go the other way. Kind of turn over the left leg. Lift up. So you're kind of angling yourself. So the chest is kind of now in line with the left knee. You're still flexing the foot. Lift up tall. And now begin to walk the hands out and kind of fold over that left leg. Just 3 breaths. That's all. Just 3. Let's take one more breath here. And then slowly walk yourself up. Turn to center, and you're going to change sides. So first, let's get this set up. You're going to bend the left knee in. So the heel isn't kind of close. Like you were coming into a full cross-leg position, but we're not. And again, at the left knee, one side, you might have been able to ground the knee. Or like me, you can't get this knee to the mat easily, so you support it with a block, or you could even use like a roll towel or a t-shirt, as long as something is supporting it. And then that right leg, again, super straight, open it to the side, just to a degree where it feels okay. Flex the foot. Begin to turn now to your left. Bring the right hand to the right knee or outer thigh and scoop the left arm behind the back for a half bind. And sit up tall. So it's a little twist, little forward fold. The next part. Use that hand behind you and press the forearm a little more against the back. Help you sit up tall, give you some support. Stay in this twist, one more breath. And then slowly unwind, come to center, and then turn over the right leg. And kind of angle yourself. So you're kind of looking at the kneecap or the shin or the toes. Lengthen from the spine, and then begin to fold. Walk the hands out just to a place that feels good. And make sure you start to feel the right hip hike up. That's your clue that when you do this pose again, you need to get something under you. Folded blanket is my favorite. I don't really like using cushions or pillows to sit on because you sink into them a little too much. They don't give you enough support. You can get like a folded blanket, like a stadium blanket or an Afghan or something like that. It's much better, a little sturdier. All right, slowly walk up. Keep the right leg open. And then take the left leg also out to the side. So we're taking a full straddle here. You don't have to go really wide. We're not going to fold over the legs like we do or down the middle sometimes. This is more of a side bending pose. Do flex the feet though. So you don't want the legs to start to roll in. You don't want them to be loose and sloppy. You want them to be really engaged. So flex the feet so the toes point up and the kneecaps point up. Again, sit bones grounded. You're going to drop the left forearm to the mat inside the knee. Again, you could prop it on a block here. And then all you're going to do is take the right arm over the ear, reaching towards the left toes. All right, turning left side of the ribs again to the right. 2 more breaths here on this side. Reach a little longer through the right fingers for the last moment on this side. And then slowly come up and change sides. Drop the right forearm to the mat, or you could use a block like I'm doing inside the knee. Take the left arm over the ear, turn right side of the ribs to the left, stretch the left fingers towards the right toes. Keep the feet flexed. Keep both legs working as long as possible. 2 more breaths here. Maybe reach a little longer through the left fingers. 1 more breath. And then rise up. You're using a block, place it to the side. Bring the legs in. And from here, we're going to come lay on our side. All right, so it's going to be a really nice, really gentle side body stretch. So let's start on the right side. And let's do this. Yeah, so sweep the right arm long by the ear. Sweep the right arm long by the ear. And first lower side of the head. Pillow the side of the head on the upper arm. You're going to bend the bottom knee of the right knee. So just bend it in. And the left leg is going to be straight. You're kind of pressing into the
inner edge of the foot. Now, first, we'll do this again in stages. Start to lift the ribs, the side of the ribs off the mat. They're not going to lift high, maybe just like a tiny bit, like an inch or two. But you want to, again, start to find that curve, that arc in the body. And then add in the left arm, reach it over the head. Maybe it finds the right hand. Okay, pressing into that big toe mat of the left foot. Use that to help you maybe arch those bottom ribs up off a little bit. Let's take 2 more breaths here. One more. All right, then slowly bring yourself up and switch sides. So first, again, we do this slow, little at a time. First part, slide the left arm straight, lower down, side of the head, rest on that upper arm. All right, now bend the left knee, the bottom knee, just kind of a little bend. And then the right leg is straight, but again, kind of pushing a little more into the big toe mound for a little support. First, begin to gently, and again, it is such a small movement. Some of you can maybe get a little more, but most of us are only going to lift like an inch or two. Start to arc those bottom ribs up off the bat. You kind of want to make a little arch, a little C curve. And then when you have that, take the right arm over the ear. Press down more through the mound of that right big toe to help you lift up, arc a little more. Fill that whole right side with breath. And also breathing in to those bottom ribs that are lifting up off the mat just a little. One more breath. All right, release that and come lay on your back. And here's again where you could grab your block. We're going to take a bridge pose. Bridge pose. And turning the focus for this class, how bridge pose affects the low back. So before you lift, you can start in the bridge prep. Knees bent, feet about hips distance, scooting close enough, tap your heels with your fingers. But before you lift the hips, just a little mention about bridge, because bridge is a pose I do in almost every class I teach. And it's so beneficial for so many parts of the body. Of course, it's a back bend, so of course it helps the low back, but it's also working the outer hips, the hip flexors, the quads, the knees, the hamstrings. It opens the chest, gets into the shoulders a little bit as well if you add a shoulder opener. For this class, when we lift in a second, we're going to change the focus on the breath into the side body. So have your block if you're going to use it. Press into the feet, press into the palms and forearms, and lift the hips up into bridge. If you want to get a block, lower medium height under the low back for support, do it now. I'm going to roll the shoulders under you a little bit, pop the chest open. Take a few breaths here. And again, usually you're thinking about the back or maybe the quads or maybe the hip flexors or the chest or any other parts. But for now, for this practice, kind of send the breath. See how this pose kind of expands the sides of the waist, the ribs. There's those intercostal muscles again. Outer hips, outer legs. Take a couple more breaths here. Let's spend one more breath here in bridge. And then slowly lift the hips, take your block aside, and lower all the way down to the mat. We're going to take one more pose, one more nice side body stretch, and that will complete the practice. So this is a banana stretch. So we'll enter it slow. So first you slide the legs long and the arms are long, like you're coming into rest, like a corpse pose. So first we'll start the left side, actually. So first you want to bump the hips to the left, like 1 or 2 bumps. So maybe that left outer hip is even slightly off your mat. All right. And now you walk the feet to the lower right corner. You can keep the feet separate. You could cross, like, say, right ankle over left if you want, but that's not really necessary. So already making this kind of C curve, banana shape of the lower body. Now we add in the upper body. We sweep both arms up and over the head, and the hands go to the upper right corner. Same thing here with the feet. You can keep the hands separate. You could interlace the fingers. You could maybe circle left wrist with right fingers. All right, we take about 4 breaths here and banana stretch. So really stretching out, lengthening that left side and kind of hollowing out the right side of the body. 2 more breaths here. Banana stretch, first side. Take 1 more big breath in, fill up. And then exhale, let the breath slowly go. All right, come out of this slowly, come back to center, back to that neutral starting spot. Legs long, arms long, back flat. And then let's come into side 2. First the hips, bump them to the right. 1 or 2 bumps to maybe, if it feels okay, the hip is slightly off the mat. And then walk the feet, step them to the lower left corner. You could cross one ankle over the other if you want, but you don't have to. Add the arms, take them up and over the head, reaching towards the upper left corner. Okay. Again, you can hold on to the wrist, keep the palms separate, interlace the fingers. 4 breaths here. Breathing in to that whole right side again. Pinky toe out through pinky finger. 2 more breaths. 1 more. Slowly release. Come back onto the back. If you want here, you could repeat that full body stretch that we opened with, stretching opposite arm and leg long, or just stretching both arms and legs long. You pick. You could hug the knees in. You could take a happy baby. And that is our class for the side body. Hopefully, again, kind of helps decompress the spine, introduces a little more mobility into the spine. Really big focus though with the side body is with breathing. So not having that tightness in the diaphragm, being able to move and breathe and just bring the side body into your daily life. So it's not all about the front moving, the front facing poses. We're a little more aware maybe as we exercise or just go throughout our day of doing those little side body stretches. You could just sit at your desk and just reach the arm over the head, just that kind of thing, just to open up some more space. So I hope you enjoyed. Hope it's helpful. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.